play into your strategy here at all?
Well, I think you may know that the House Energy Committee just passed a bill that would impose a cap and trade system in the United States. And based on the action so far in Congress, this bill is likely to pass as a supporting administration. And so we expect that to be a part of the future. However, when we make an investment like in Flex Energy, we model the profits solely from selling the electricity. We assume zero value to the carbon credits. If this bill passes, those carbon credits will have a lot of value, increasing the profitability of the investment. But we adopt the risk-averse view that you don't assign any value to any future improvement in the regulatory environment. So we don't assume that anything favorable, more favorable, is going to happen in the future than has already happened in the past. But we welcome this change. Now, one of my partners is an expert in that particular area. I'm not, so I can't speak with a lot of technical precision about the trading of carbon credits. But I think it's fair to say that if you had to assess probabilities, the United States is going to convert to a system of trading these credits, and there'll be an enormous amount of money made by, give all these Wall Street people who are now unemployed something to do, because it plays to their strength. They're all quants, they love computers, and they'll be able to program all the computers to buy and sell carbon credits, and they'll have a lot of fun. That's not really what we do. We think that's risky kind of stuff, and it's for other people. What we like to do is build companies, build real companies.
Are you a member of the climate exchange? Do you participate as a provider of capital?
That's not what we do. All the companies we invest in are private companies, and they, as private companies, may one day be selling credits to the exchange, but that's not how we make money. We basically want to buy into a company when it's smaller and sell it when it's bigger. Any other questions at the back?
Yeah. How does water health make money?
Well, that's a great question. Water health makes money in two ways. First of all, the company sells the water purification system to the village, depending on the size of the system, from $30,000 to $50,000. It's something that a lot of villages in the world can afford. They put 20% down, just like you're buying a house. They put 20% down in equity in the village, which even at $50,000 is $10,000. And they borrow the rest from one of the banks that we've lined up to help them. In the case of India, we've gotten a lot of support from the IXL Bank. As the program becomes more acceptable, more banks will want to come in. In fact, we now have banks competing to replace ICICI because they've gotten so much positive publicity from this. Now, if the village can't afford $5,000 or $10,000, the Gates Foundation and other charitable foundations have given the villages the money they need for the down payment. The system works better, though, if the village takes ownership and pride of ownership in owning their water system. Then the way the village pays back the loan is the village charges 2 cents a day to the people who use the water. So you come get the water, you pay 2 cents. And we get a share of that. So at this point, water health is grossing about $7 million a year. And at the point when it gets to serve 100, 200 million people, it'll be a fabulously profitable company, even though it's an awful lot of little transactions. Any other questions?
They work on the next so in villages where there is a scarcity of power, how does it function there?
Okay, the thing that made the water health system so scalable is that it only uses one 60-watt UV bulb, which you can buy at Home Depot. And so 60 watts of electricity, the bulb has to be replaced once every year, and that's what makes the system work. So it's very cheap, very effective, and it was based on technology at the Berkeley National Laboratory that showed you could suspend a bulb in a period of 2 and kill 100% of the pathogens, whereas you have to use 100 times more energy to submerge the bulb into water. So we have the worldwide license for that, and it's very effective.
But suppose if you don't get power and you ignite that power, that takes more time, because in villages in India,
We use our batteries. We store the power when the grid's working, and it goes off the grid when it's not, and then we're now installing the solar panels. So pretty soon, we'll actually be able to kind of drop these systems by helicopter in the middle of nowhere, and they'll have water in them anywhere on Earth, powered by the sun. Yeah, we see a lot of synergy amongst the products that we invest in.
Let's take one last question. This is my last question. Regarding your exit strategy, how long do you think these companies will be profitable? Are we talking 5, 10, 15, 30 years before these companies, before you actually would exit your investment?
That's been one of the difficulties. That's an excellent question, by the way. You should become a venture capitalist. We always think about the time value of money, and the difficult part of this space is that to take a company like Water Health and grow it to the point where we can exit at the kind of multiple we want to exit at, which is enormous. It's going to take 5 years to do that. And we may be surprised by joy and be able to flip a company, but that's because we choose not to do financial engineering, because we choose to basically build real companies. That takes time. It takes time to get the right people. Sometimes you've got the wrong person in a key position. You have to put in the right person. It takes time to build a real company. And so the mood of today's world is not to invest in anything long term. People think today, there are people on Wall Street who think 30 days is too long to wait for a return. And people want instant, returns. And so the environment in today's world in finance is not conducive. I mean, people practically fall off their chairs. It doesn't take 5 years to get a return, but who wants to do that? So we are sort of relegated to, we can get our money from only 3 sources. Pension plans, where they're investing for the long-term future, university endowments whose holding period is forever, and multi-generational wealthy families where they're concerned about their children and their grandchildren, and they're making money for several generations. So you have to have, I think one of the speakers mentioned, this is a long-term process. To make money in this space, you have to have a long-term perspective. We'd love to sell the things sooner, but we also want to make a lot of money. And most of the growth, most of that, the fabled hockey stick, comes in sort of the 4th and 5th years.